Hello and welcome to The Reload, your weekly recap of all the gaming news and a quick look at what's coming out over the next week. I'm of course Carl, and without any further ado, here's what happened. The week kicked off with a reminder of how awful certain aspects of the gaming community can be. Price fixing has once again hit the FIFA Ultimate Team mode in EA's football title, where players identify a hidden demand for a player and cause its price to spike for quick profit. The latest player to have it done to their card is Ryan Mason, the Hull City midfielder who suffered a horrific injury during a Premier League match last Saturday. Within hours of being taken to hospital, price fixers managed to skyrocket Mason's in-game price from 400 coins to between 4 and 5,000, as they thought that Mason was going to die. Thankfully, he's in a stable condition, and now the price fixers look stupid/greedy/pathetic. It's a great reminder that being an opportunist is fine, but doing so to take advantage of a real-life incident of a horrific nature to make a few extra pieces of fake currency kind of marks you as a d***. Right, let's get on with some good news for once. Jesus Christ. Two veterans of the development scene here in the UK have put forward a proposal that would see the British government supporting games development across the country. Ian Livingston, who helped build Eidos Interactive in the 90s, and investment consultant Rick Gibson, have presented an idea of forming the British Games Institute. The idea behind the organisation is similar to that of the British Film Institute, in that the government funding would be used to improve production, culture and education within the industry, while helping to plug the finance gap that can hinder or damage fledgling studios. The cynic in me feels that this is just Livingston's way of being fed up of seeing Kickstarters all the time and just wants to yell, "Start doing it properly, you bums!" Oh, speaking of Kickstarter, developers Stoic have taken to Kickstarter once again to ensure that the Banner Saga 3 gets made. The team explained that while they didn't need financial assistance for the Banner Saga 2, the funds have run dry and a lack of sales meant they are back to square one to ensure that the trilogy gets the ending it deserves. At the time of filming, the team are just over 15% away from their $200,000 target, with 38 days left to go. I for one think it's all going to turn out fine, Banner Saga fans. Woo, we're finally getting that happy ending. Well, I wouldn't say necessarily happy, with, death of gods and destruction of the world and all that, but, other than that. In other crowdfunding news, Obsidian Entertainment announced that their tease from earlier in the month was in fact for Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire. While its predecessor was one of the early Kickstarter success stories back in 2012, this time Obsidian has taken to Fig for their crowdfunding needs, which allows both pledges and investment towards games being made. And well, it appears that gamers really wanted another adventure in the world of Aora, because the initial $1.1 million target was smashed in under a day, and at the time of filming, the first stretch goal of $1.4 million is within touching distance. So, come spring 2018, players will get to head to the Deadfire archipelago to track down a wayward god whose return has caused quite the ruckus. You know what? It's just great that we can throw money at things and we'll actually get nice things in return. Yeah! Arcane Studios' Prey Reboot now has a firm release date of the 5th of May. The news was announced via a brand new trailer, which also showed off new extended gameplay that includes fighting the evil on the Talos space station, the use of a gel gun that can be used for traversal, and our first look at characters other than the main protagonist Morgan Yu. I still think the best thing in that game is that you can possess a mug and hop across a counter. Man, that's so... oh my god, wait, could I get through the entire game as a mug? Mobile RPG Mobius Final Fantasy is making its way to Steam next month. Although there will be graphical improvements that provide 60 FPS and high resolutions, it will be the same free-to-play title with microtransactions in which players assume the role of a prophesized warrior of light. The release will happen on February 6th, the day before an in-game crossover event with the Final Fantasy VII Remake. In it, players will journey to the infamous Mako Reactor, where they will team up with Cloud to take on the Guard Scorpion. In rather sudden news, Square Enix has announced a multi-year, multi-game creative partnership with none other than Marvel Entertainment. The announcement was accompanied with the teasiest of teaser trailers for what is being called the Avengers Project, featuring the weaponry of some of Earth's mightiest heroes and the tagline, "Reassemble." The only other hints given in the press release is that it will feature an original story to introduce a universe gamers can play in for years to come, and that Crystal Dynamics will be developing it with assistance from Eidos Montreal. It's expected to arrive in 2018, so don't go expecting anything substantial anytime soon. So this is going to go one of three ways. 1, it's going to be a single player campaign or a co-op thing of some sorts in a traditional manner. 2, it's going to be an MMO that's free to play and has microtransactions everywhere. Or 3, they're just going to rip off Overwatch, because frankly, I would play that and buy it all. Oh my god, yeah, that's a really good idea. Do that now, Square Enix. And finally, it was announced last week that Classic FM will be starting up a brand new weekly program dedicated to video game soundtracks. Beginning April 22nd, the hour-long show will be presented by Jessica Curry, the BAFTA award-winning composer of Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. While the initial run is only for 6 weeks, the hope is that the show proves popular enough for a longer or permanent run. And that's it for this week's news highlights. As always, you can hit the link in the description box below if anything has piqued your interest to learn more about it. But for now, it's time to crack on and see some of the highlights of games releasing this week. First up, we have a surprise release that hits PC and PS4 tomorrow, as the Double Dragon series returns for its 4th installment. While there's currently no word as to how it plays, it's clear from the retro graphics that the developers are hoping to nail the nostalgia in terms of feel and tone. On top of the usual campaign mode, players can expect co-op functionality and something called Tower Mode, where players must fight their way through increasingly difficult levels to reach the boss at the top. Meanwhile, the classic strategy RPG Disgaea 2 returns this week in the form of a remastered PC version. While the core game remains the same, the graphical improvements come along with newly recorded voice acting and brand new characters that weren't available with the game's original release in the West. Basically, if you have even just a passing like for strategy RPGs, you really should get on this one if you haven't already. In the world of early access, Funcom begin their next stab at an engaging game set in the Conan the Barbarian franchise. Similar in style to Ark, Conan Exiles gives players a multiplayer sandbox in which to fight, scavenge and build in, with the added twist of being able to summon gods to crush their enemies. This also includes any buildings in their way, which all looks rather impressive. As always with early access releases, expect this one to be rough around the edges when it lands on Tuesday. If you've made a grand faux pas by not getting it already, Hitman's first season of content has been bundled up and is set for release this week. All 5 episodes are included, and with community events and one-shot elusive targets still being added, there should be plenty of reason to jump into this exquisite sandbox, even if you are a latecomer to Agent 47's latest assassination spree. Finally, Android users get to jump into the world of Fire Emblem with the series' first smartphone title. Fire Emblem Heroes sees players recruit familiar faces and newcomers to battle enemies in a scaled-down version of the strategy RPG combat, leveling up their team against AI opponents and other players. It's free to play with microtransactions that offer more opportunities to get fan-favourite characters on your team, so be sure to check it out if you're an Android user when it releases on Thursday. And that's it for this week's Reload. As always, you can head over to GameBuzz.tv to see everything that we've been up to over the last week, including my look at Worlds Adrift, and you'll be able to see the podcast of the GameBuzz as well, where this week we got really in-depth on a little thing called Early Ninja. You do not want to miss it, because we really do go off on it, so yeah, do check that out. It is, of course, available on iTunes and SoundCloud, and we will have highlights over on YouTube, so do stay tuned for all of that. And there will be a couple of reviews coming next week. Matt's got a game that can't quite talk about yet, but it's one you don't want to miss. And of course, I've got my review of Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8. I'm not going to say the rest of the title because it's really long and oh my god. So yes, do stay tuned for all of that. In the meantime, do hit subscribe, press the button right up in that corner, and then hit the bell for notifications and all that. So yes, please do that, and I will see you next week for another episode of The Reload. See you then. Bye-bye.